Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning to you on this June 5th. So good to have you in company for another Morning Barbados presentation. Certainly hope you had a good night's rest. You know, if you work through the night, there are lots of people doing the overnight shift. I certainly hope you get home safely. But thank you for waking up with us and tuning in for today's presentation. I'm Tisha Hines. I'll be here with you until 8 o'clock this morning. And boy, do we have a show planned for you. We're going to be sharing lots and lots of very interesting things and speaking with wonderful people from right here in Barbados and indeed across the world. So you want to stick around. Before we move on, I often do my shout outs to the young ones who are doing their CSEC exams. And I know lots of you are busy studying and it can be a little difficult sometimes. Feel like if it never will end, trust me, it will. And just going to it knowing that everything will work out no matter what happens. Yeah, life happens and everything works on out. So parents, now to you, don't pressure them too much, especially the ones that need the extra nudge. Give them the nudge, but they will get there even if it's a little slower than their peers. We know these things. So we've been getting some rain. Did you get out to cricket yesterday? How about that? Scotland, England, held up by rain and the covers and the back and forth and overcast. Oh my, I was thinking all these months in Barbados, we were praying for rain, and just as cricket starts, there we go. But we asked for it and we need it, right? So absolutely no complaints. I certainly hope you've been getting out to cricket when it's here in Barbados as well. The newly renovated Kensington Oval is beautiful. So today is World Environment Day, and in the last few, I'd say years, we've been focusing a little more heavily on our environment, most certainly ably led by our government. I'd say that, with the development of the blue and green economy, formally into departments or ministries, we've seen a bigger thrust toward talking about our environment. So World Environment Day is observed every year on June 5th. The world comes together to celebrate it. And this global event isn't just a cause for celebration, it's a powerful call to action. Established by the United Nations, World Environment Day serves as a platform to raise awareness about the most pressing environmental challenges we face and inspire us to find solutions. Now, this year's theme, land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience, with the slogan, Our Land, Our Future, is all about bringing back healthy land, preventing deserts from growing, and dealing with water shortages. Trees, healthy soil, and clean water are vital for a healthy planet. And I dare say that most of that sounds like what we need in Barbados, right? They say we're water scarce, so it definitely speaks to what we need to do. So drought resilience is definitely up our alley in terms of what we need to do to keep ourselves hydrated in more ways than one. Now, speaking about hydration, it's important for us to continue the conversation on health and wellness. So joining us this morning, we have two gentlemen who are representing the National Nutrition Center today. Mr. Brian Payne is the Deputy Nutrition Officer there. And Suleiman Bulbulia, I promised him next time he comes, I'll have a few hats for him, ably labeled, so we know exactly what hat he's wearing on that particular occasion. Today he's appearing as chairman of the NCD Commission. And they've launched, by they, me, the Commission, has launched a new campaign to share more about trans fats. So good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you.
Good to have both of you with us.
Thank you.
Good to see you again, Suleiman.
Always.
And welcome to you, Mr. Payne.
Thank you very much.
I think this is the first time I'm seeing you on Morning Barbados.
Indeed, yeah.
So, this is a great way to start. And I want to start with you, Mr. Chairman, telling us about why it has been important to kind of go behind the curtain in sharing with Barbadians all about trans fats and things of that nature. I think over the years we've gone beyond saying, eat better, make better choices. And we're now empowering people with the information they need to be able to make those choices. Why has it gotten to this place?
Well, thank you very much for having us this morning. And Brian will speak a lot more on trans fat. He's the more expert on that. But the NCD Commission has within its remit to advise government as well as to conduct programs to look at NCDs in Barbados. We have a major issue in our country. I mean, 80% of our deaths are from NCD-related illness or illnesses. So that is staggering. And so our commission, which has been around for a number of years, started by Professor Trevor Hassel through government, has been working hard at making sure we fight the fight and struggle on NCDs. And trans fats is one of the issues that we have to confront within our foods. So that's something that we're working on. And you mentioned that today is World Environment Day, and happy World Environment Day to everyone. We also have to look at the impact of climate change and the environment on our health and how that is impacting. You talked about food and land. That is impacting us tremendously, what we eat, because we cannot, if we're not getting the indigenous foods and the local foods, we have to unfortunately go towards imported foods, which has a lot of the negative ingredients. But so we feel as part of our remit, we're going to work towards looking at issues, and trans fats is one of the issues that we're looking on for the next few weeks, trying to alert Barbadians as to what is the issue with this, and look for it within your foods and try to avoid it. And government is moving towards having a ban on trans fats altogether, but Brian can speak more on this.
Wonderful. Let's dial in. When we're talking about trans fats, what are we talking about?
Well, trans fats are produced when vegetable oils or liquid oils are actually hydrogenated under high temperatures and pressures, and therefore it makes these oils semi-solid or solid, and therefore it's easier for manufacturers or industry to actually use these in food products. So we tend to find these partly hydrogenated oils, which do contain the trans fats, in most or all ultra-processed foods, baked goods. So you find them everywhere, and that's the challenge. And they're not necessarily essential, or they don't promote health in any way. They actually make our health significantly worse, increasing our risk of cardiovascular diseases. So that's the big issue with trans fats. They're not essential in our food supply, but again, they're used as convenience by industry.
So nothing nutritious, just strictly sharing them. Let's share with the average person who might be thinking, okay, you talked about ultra-processed foods. What do you mean?
Foods which are prepackaged, or foods which aren't sold whole, or I hate to use the term natural, but foods which are processed in some way. Those would be considered ultra-processed foods or packaged foods.
All right, and now you're launching this campaign to be able to, as I called it, pull back the curtain and share a little bit more about what's in the food and why choices need to be made. Why this drive at this particular time?
I think the challenges is that in Barbados and many CARICOM countries, our labeling standards they leave a lot to be desired. So the consumer can't necessarily look at a package and say, oh, this product contains high sugar, high salt, high fat, high trans fats, or high calories. So therefore, it's important to have legislation in place to kind of protect the consumer, because the average consumer is not going to, sit and read a back of panel label, and sometimes it's difficult for people to even understand them. So because of these lax labeling standards, it's critical to have legislation in place to actually protect the consumer.
All right, and that's where the NCD Commission is moving.
And that's why we are supporting strongly the front of package warning labels, and we've been pushing for that. Unfortunately, CARICOM has not gone that route as yet. They've been pushed back from industry, but we believe that front of package warning labels helps the consumer in making an informed decision on what is contained in this product. When we talk about front of package warning labels, it says clearly high in sugar, high in fats, as Brian mentioned. So those are the type of policies that we need that helps the consumer to be informed of what they're going to consume. Now, at the end of the day, if they see a product and they see high in fat, high in sugar, and they choose to eat that, that's fine. That's up to the consumer, but we want the consumer to be informed. A good point was made yesterday in a session that we had, that generally people look at food and look at nutrition separately. They don't see the two coming together. They want to eat something. It's culturally acceptable. It's enjoyable. It's a my pleasure food. But what is the nutrition aspect of it? And that's the two don't tend to mesh at all times.
And I'm glad that you brought culture up because this plays a big role in what people eat, how they consume food, and whether they even consider nutrition in the selection of food. So how do we move to that place to try to change perception, culture, things people have grown with?
I think it's important to for us to kind of understand that we are not saying that a person shouldn't consume a treat or they shouldn't consume a food that is culturally significant to them. I think what the challenge is that one, people need the information to understand that these foods may contain harmful ingredients, and two, we must understand that we should not only eat for a good mouthfeel or because food makes us feel comfortable. We should definitely associate health with the food that we consume. And the challenge is that, as Mr. Bulbulde would have mentioned earlier, is that 80% of deaths in Barbados and the wider region are NCD related. So therefore, I think sometimes we tend not to connect NCDs to the food we eat, especially on a daily basis.
And when we talk about cultural significance, I'm happy that we have you sitting here with us because that means a great deal. A lot of the times we don't want to have the very difficult conversations, as in even how we eat in different races.
Yes.
So, for example, the Afro community, as opposed to what the Indo community will eat, or background community will eat, based on cultural norms or based on what they've grown up with, and things like that. So, is there a culture, do you find, as we look across Barbados, and there may not be or might be some empirical data to support or refute, but do you find that it is specific, even more so in greater detail, to maybe the Afro community? I know we're the larger part, makeup of the community, but, based on your observations, do you find that based on what we eat and how we eat, that in other cultures or people of other origin, they make different selections that might be on a healthier note?
They do make different selections, but at the end of the day, what we find happening, especially in a small society like Barbados, where access to the indigenous foods, maybe from where they're from originally, is not readily available, so they will go back to what is there. And unfortunately, what is there is not a lot that is healthy. And so even within the culture, while you might go towards something that's different, it's still that you're dependent a lot on imported items that contain a lot of non-nutritious products. So yes, there is a difference, but still at the end of the day, we do have high incidences of NCDs within our community as well. Unfortunately, diabetes is one of them. Heart issues are another issue that we have. And again, it goes back to not necessarily eating as healthy as they should. Even though the culture calls for it, you see a mesh now happening in Barbados, for example, where, yes, for example, in our community, we would eat halal. What is halal? But if the fast food happens to have halal, they can go for fast food that is halal. So while we should be eating healthier, you still find that mesh coming in where we might not necessarily be eating healthier, but we're still eating what is culturally acceptable.
Yeah, it definitely is important to have cross-cultural conversations as well, because there's a lot of influence even in the types of foods that have been adapted across the board throughout the years. And obviously there are some changes, and that will be dependent on going into various families and recipes that are handed down and things of that nature. You mentioned, Mr. Payne, that there has been a thrust, and you too, Mr. Chairman, to get the front of packaging warning labels done. And you said, there have been some challenges. Can we talk a little bit about whether there's been pushback or where the challenges are coming from?
I think the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the National NCD Commission, and other civil society organizations are keen to actually push, again, for these front of package warning labels, to kind of highlight things like typical things like high sodium, high fat, high calories, foods which contains trans fats. But of course, I think many industry players aren't keen to really accept or even endorse these front of package warning labels, because it will definitely kind of affect their brand in some way. However, I think I think we must appreciate and understand that our largest constituent is the general public. And it's key that they actually know what's in their food. And for me, whether it's trans fats, high sodium, high sugar, again, the consumer needs to be educated. And the idea from the package warning labels is that it actually gives the consumer the information, at the point of sale, so that they can actually make a decision. So we can actually implement things like front of package warning labels, or you can actually ban things like trans fats. Again, to kind of alter or change the food environment to make the healthier choice, of course, the easier choice.
I think it would make a difference for people really to be able to see, if the standard is 100%, and you're going to an establishment, for example, and it says this particular food is made up 90% XYZ.
Yeah.
It has X amount of sugars and so on, and I can see how, there would be pushback from people who are making exorbitant profits from giving this type of food en masse in our communities. So how does this campaign measure up with maybe even getting restaurants and fast food outlets and so on to offer healthier alternatives on their menus as well? Because a lot of people going to work, or whatever the excuses we make are, look for convenience, and that's why they go to these fast food places. So how does sharing this information and trying to empower people to make healthier choices, where does that fall? And when you go to make those choices, there really are no options.
It falls into a wider conversation, and our deputy chair, Dr. Connell, always pushes the fact that unless you make an environment conducive to healthier choices, you're not going to get persons buying into it. So it's about creating the environment, creating the culture, creating the momentum to having a healthier society. And I think that's one of the things that we are pushing as a commission. Having the conversation on trans fats is important, because it then opens up to people information that they may not have been privy to before. Brian was telling me just before this that, people not sure what even is a trans fat, right? So how do you have that conversation with persons if they don't even know what we're talking about? So we're breaking it down in our social media campaign, especially, and in our information as to what this is about, and why it is important for you to understand what trans fats are in your products, and why it is important to make a healthier choice. That is all part of creating an environment in Barbados that pushes a healthier narrative, a healthier alternative. I think that's our starting point. How do we create an environment that people make healthier choices, and that's the first choice they go to, rather than the second choice, or the choice that they make only because the doctor says, well, you have an NCD, you need to start eating properly. And the sad thing about it is that NCDs are starting a lot earlier now in life. The younger people are presenting because of, from young, their lifestyle choices or their eating choices has not been good.
All right, so talk to me about the online campaign itself, and how the information will be shared, where we can find the information that you're sharing in this new campaign.
Yeah, I think we're actually using various social media platforms, our Instagram pages, our Facebook page. I think we have recruited some influencers to actually kind of get the message out there, to a wider, possibly a non-traditional audience, younger people especially. So the campaign is heavily focused on kind of reaching younger people, where they are, not necessarily having people come to us, and that's important.
Yeah.
Our IG handles are NCD Commission Barbados.
So pretty easy. NCD Commission Barbados.
Yeah.
I believe I follow your page already. What are you going to do to? I know you're reaching out in this particular campaign to younger people, as you mentioned, but if you look in the household, it's not necessarily the younger people preparing the foods.
Agreed.
So you're empowering them with information to be able to make healthier choices. But when you get home in the evening and Granny has made a lick down cuckoo, swimming.
Swimming, yes.
What are we going to do to encourage that cross-generational conversation?
And we're working with a number of NGOs in this space to kind of push the message as well. So there are a number of CSOs, NGOs in Barbados that work in the health space. and it's important to get them on board. So they are on board, and we work with them to get the messaging out to their people as well. So yes, it's going to be across the board. Our social media is both IG and Facebook. So you know that the older demographic is on Facebook as well. So we're there as well. So we're hoping that reaches, and then we will have going forward some more lectures and panel discussions on this.
All right, good stuff. How will the campaign roll out? When will it roll out? How long will it run?
It's actually started already. We have 4 influencers on board, and they've started to already put out material, and we're moving ahead with it. We are hoping to carry it till the end of June, do a assessment and see how that has worked. And then we're getting a lot of feedback on the IG. People are posting, asking questions, making comments. So we're going to assess that, see where people are at, what they're asking, and then go forward from there.
Yeah, what I've recognized too, and I was watching, sometimes I just doom scroll online. You know how it goes. You know, you kind of sit and you get into it, and all of a sudden an hour has gone by.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm telling the truth. But, you know, that happens sometimes,
Yes.
particularly when you get on social media and, you know, there are all of these seemingly interesting people and things to look at.
Yes.
And one thing that jumped out at me was there are so many people around Barbados, and this is not meant to tear anyone down, because I know there are a lot of people who are entrepreneurs and they're getting their hustle on, they want to make some money, but they're kind of bandying around natural juices and you know, all of these types of things. How do you reach these people who are not necessarily in a storefront that you can reach out to, or a manufacturing plant that you can bring to the table, who are using terms that are not necessarily true? So for example, you have an older person who might think they're making a healthy choice, but it really isn't. And this person isn't necessarily regulated in the way they would be if we have these front of packaging labels and the necessary legislation. So how do we combat stuff like that?
I think the key thing here, is to kind of inform the public. I often hear this term a lot. People use the term natural, but to me, from a nutrition perspective, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. But these terms are often used to kind of cajole people into purchasing the product. But I mean, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. So the key thing here is for persons like myself who work in the Ministry of Health, one is to kind of educate the public about the high sugar levels of some of these so-called natural products, because the levels of sugar are very high. And the unregulated nature, it really puts the impetus on the Ministry of Health and Wellness to kind of, not necessarily police, but to kind of inform the small manufacturers, get them into a forum where they can actually be educated and they can actually learn. And again, there's no reason why these small manufacturers can't go to like the government analytical laboratories to have their products tested and get appropriate nutrition labels on their products to actually inform their consumer. Because at the end of the day, like any large entity, these small businesses, they rely on their customers. And if they provide a bad product to their customer base is going to diminish significantly. So definitely we need to work with them to kind of educate them and bring them up to the standard that we want them to be.
This absolutely shows that there needs to be a whole of society approach.
Yes.
So who are some of the agencies, ministries, companies, NGOs, third sector parties that are working along with the NCD Commission to make sure that we're able to say that campaigns like these have been successful?
We have a commission now that's made up of persons from a variety of backgrounds. So we have health from the Ministry of Health, we have from the Ministry of Education, we have from other government agencies represented, but we also have from civil society and we also have from the private sector. So we have insurance represented, we have civil society organizations, we have the faith-based organizations, all sit on the commission, and that is important because it gives a whole of society, as you mentioned, approach to the struggle, and we recognize that that's what is needed. We need to engage the private sector a lot more because we need to get them on board. We need to engage the faith-based organizations, and we see a number of them doing a lot of work in this area, trying to bring health and spirituality together. We are working with other agencies and groups that work within the space, maybe not necessarily from a health point of view, but have a wide and a broad base of persons that work with them. So yeah, it is definitely multi-sectoral.
And I hope that, I know that the University of the West Indies, they do a lot of research and development that informs a lot of what is done, not only here, but across the region.
Correct.
I certainly hope that when we unfurl campaigns like this one, that we're also working along with research agencies to be able to measure success. So what's the measure of your success once this particular campaign is at its end?
I think it really comes down to, again, as Mr. Babuli would have mentioned, working with industry to ensure that they actually have the ban on trans fats in place. I think our mandate would be the ban should begin December 2024 and it will be enforced December 2025. So that is, I think, is definitely a critical step in the process. And of course, monitoring regulation is going to be very important in terms of monitoring what industry says they're doing to ensure that they're doing what they should be doing. And that's going to be critical as well too. And of course, I think the response from the general public is going to be critical as well too in terms of whether they see the benefits of having this ban on industrially produced trans fatty acids.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Payne is Deputy Nutrition Officer with the National Nutrition Center, and Suleiman Boubou, you're wearing the hat of Chairman of the NCD Commission. Today, Barbados remains steadfast in its commitment to removing industrially produced trans fatty acids from our local food supply by December 2024. That's a tall order. While improving the overall food environment. It really is all of society approach, and it calls on all of us to do our part as well. These gentlemen have certainly moved me to a place where I have to think a little deeper about my choices as well. 74.2% of women and 57.5% of men are overweight in Barbados. And a lot of us don't even want to talk about the O word. Because if you say that, all of a sudden it's offensive and people are fat shaming. We have to be honest, people. We have to look out for ourselves, because as much as we talk about our rights as citizens, we also have a responsibility to look out for ourselves.
Agree.
All right? Thank you for coming in. All right, and we certainly will do our part here at CBC to continue to share and lead the charge. I dare say so. All right, time for a break. When we come back, a whole lot more. Stay here. It's Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
Do you look like your dad? Do people often say, use the spitting image of your father? That likeness could make your dad a winner in our CBC Mini-Me Father's Day contest. From June 1st to 6th, submit a photo of your dad and his lookalike son or daughter to marketing@cbc.bb or via WhatsApp to 467-5465. Then rally your family and friends to vote on CBC Barbados on Facebook and CBC Barbados 246 on Instagram from June 8th to 10th. The photo with the most votes wins a staycation at the luxurious Sunday Hotel. Gift vouchers compliments world-class cuts, and a photo shoot compliments 8216 Logistics. What are you waiting for? Get those photos with Dad in now.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308 and don't miss a single six, wicket or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game with dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling all together.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 26 minutes before 7 o'clock, 26 minutes to 7. So get a move on if you have to get out of the house. You know, it's drizzling outside, and when it's drizzling, people in Barbados drive slower. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it because I believe that. They drive slower and more cars break down. Yes, so make sure you service your vehicles because then it just holds up traffic. And of course, we have more fender benders. So be careful as well. Get off the cell phones. I think people have moved back to the place now where it's like they're not hiding anymore. People used to hide and be like, I'm looking at the phone down here. No, back to the ear. And we see them, maybe me too. So I have to talk to myself as well. All right, so we have some wonderful people who are in generally my area of business joining us today to talk about a very interesting seminar that they went all the way around the world to be a part of 2 years in a row. Anesta Henry is a journalist right here at CBC. She's a new addition to the family, so you'll be seeing a whole lot more of her. And Michael Alcock and Aisha Reed are both information officers with the Government Information Service. So good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have all of you on this side of the camera. I know for you guys, you would usually be on the other side of the camera. So I'll start with you, Michael, since this is officially the first time we are meeting.
Yes.
For you to tell me a little bit about this particular initiative that took you guys to China.
Yes. First of all, it's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Same here.
The seminar is hosted by the NRTA, which is basically an administration kind of department in China, and they're trying their best to bring media from around the world, from different Belt and Road countries, as they call it, to kind of see the infrastructure that China has developed over the last couple of years. I should say it's over several years when it comes to media, new media. The recent seminar we attended was dealing with new media platforms, you know, the different social media platforms, TikTok and these kind of things, just to kind of emphasize the need for a new approach to how media is treated. And it's been a great 2 years now. This is my second year and I really enjoyed it. I don't know about the others, but they gotta be careful next time I might not come back.
What about you, Aisha? Talk to me about, because this is very interesting to be able to share in how things are done in other parts of the world is something that we as journalists and media people, information officers really dream about, to be able to communicate generally, but to reach the widest possible audience.
The thing about it for me is that it was not only the new media aspect of it. They respect the new media. They introduced so much new technology and stuff to us, and it was like mind-blowing because I saw like an Obi bus that blew my mind. I said, I want one of those for JS back in Barbados.
Know, it's outside broadcast bus.
This thing was so beautiful. I was in awe. But they also still respected old media. So a lot of people are
traditional
thinking,
media,
yes,
Aisha,
traditional. Sorry. But you know, a lot of people thinking that because that we are moving towards new platforms and stuff like that, we have to toss out the old. But they're showing you how you can integrate both, right? So it was a great experience. But one of my favorite things about the past 2 years is that people from various countries get to sit down and discuss how they operate. So to me, that is what is the fellowship of people from Iraq and Nigeria and stuff like that. People that countries that I didn't think that I would ever come into contact with. So just to hear how media is run and operated and stuff like that, to me, that was the highlight.
It's always wonderful to share best practices.
Yes, correct.
Sometimes what you're doing, you're on target, but you're not absolutely sure. But so to be able to kind of, rub shoulders with and exchange information is always interesting. Anesta, why do you think that it was far more important than just going for you guys to be able to come 2 years in a row? Because I understand you were invited back. So that must mean something.
We were invited back because when we went the first time, which was a wonderful experience, we would have shown keen interest in not only how China is using technology to advance their media environment, but also the culture. The Chinese culture as a whole is a very interesting and dynamic culture. Last year when I was invited to go initially, I was like, nope. But for one bit, I do not regret that decision. So this year when the opportunity came again, I said, definitely yes. Because the Chinese, as I mentioned, the Chinese culture is so interesting, is so dynamic. Chinese people are, even though there's a language barrier, they're so warm and friendly and polite and, it's just a very interesting experience.
Wonderful to be able to see it for yourself. Michael, how do you plan to integrate some of what you've seen and learned, even if it's just information sharing here in Barbados?
So I came back already with my batteries wound up, ready to go. I'm actually working on a video right now. We would have actually met with the ambassador to China when we were over there, Hallam Henry. So we shot some interviews with him. We visited a culture there. And so I'm working on a short little program that is going to be on our social media on GIS. But besides that, I've also been in my boss's office, knocking down the door, telling him there's some things that I want to try to implement, especially in terms of, trying to utilize short format videos and stuff like that more in our mission for what we have to do. And I am looking forward to what that process is going to be like.
Wonderful. And for you, Aisha, I know you've been at this for a while. Mm-hmm. You've been at GIS for even many more years than I've been here at CBC and in the media.
Trust me, that Michael has been there longer than I have.
So from your perspective, based on what you've seen and what you've learned, how easy or how difficult do you think it will be to kind of bring everybody here up to scratch and get on point, the place we need to be able to deliver in the way that we have to as the government information service, as the state-owned broadcaster?
I think it's one step at a time. It's just for everybody to basically get on board and not try to shy away from the new platforms, etc. And as we bring everybody a little bit closer towards that, I think we can introduce, first we gotta get them comfortable, because there's still a few people who are not comfortable with new media like Facebook and everything like that. So when we create that comfort level, then we can see how we can best advise or help them or help others to see, well, you can't just take a program that you develop for TV and put it on social media. You gotta choose exactly how you're gonna do it. But everything can work. You can take the same interview and break it down the same program, but you have to pick out which aspects and stuff like that. So it's just about changing mindsets in some ways and like trying to reiterate the ones that are already on board and move forward from that. And we took some video. He said that when he got back, but it's like when we were there, I said, Michael, you have to get this for the boss. You have to get this and show him, show the sound engineer that we have, show everybody this new media and stuff like that. And it's also important to get other people to be able to go and see what we saw. So we are hoping that they invite some other colleagues again to go down and see, because we saw it and it was mind blowing for us. So 2 years in a row. So it's time for somebody else to have the opportunity to see it again.
All right, beautiful stuff. Now, Nesta, you talk particularly about the hospitality side of things. So we know usually we go on these missions of sort, but it's also very important to be able to delve into the culture of the places that we go. So let's talk about that side of things, the hospitality, how they showed you around some of the places you were able to see and enjoy.
Yes, we would have visited many places of interest. Last year, we went to the Great Wall. So this year, because the schedule was pretty packed, so this year we decided to do something else. We didn't go back to the Great Wall, but it's so interesting, the Chinese people. They are in love with I don't want to say foreigners. They're in love with people from other countries.
You already said foreigners, Anessa.
they are in love with other cultures. They're as I mentioned, although there's a language barrier, they have their phones and they take out the translator and they ask you, oh, where are you from? And they want to take pictures and they want to know more about your country. Last year and this year, while we were in China, we would have taken the opportunity to mention Barbados every chance we got. I mean, everywhere we went, we tell them, oh, come to Barbados, come visit Barbados. And hopefully we'll get some tourists from China, more tourists coming from China coming to Barbados to see our beautiful paradise. And they're very interested. The only thing is the issue is some of them say, oh, that's so far away. But we tell them we came far to see you guys, so you can come to see us. But the hospitality was amazing, man. Our host, the NRTA, last year and this year, they treated us like kings and queens. We lacked nothing well down there. And I also want to mention that I would have started here with the Chinese embassy, who would have facilitated the process of doing the groundwork here in Barbados to get us to China.
And sometimes we use acronyms, so we want to make sure you guys know that's the National Radio and Television Administration in China that we're talking about. Michael, did you also opt out of going back to the Great Wall? I am supremely jealous.
They say that you're not a real man or a hero, they call it, unless you visit. So I did it already, so I was already a hero. But we did other activities, like Nesta mentioned. We visited the CCTV tower, which I have to say I wasn't brave enough to go all the way to the top. It's a huge building. I am not a big fan of heights, but I was there for moral support on the ground. We also visited
moral support on the ground. Come on, let's take that in for a minute.
We also went to the Beijing Zoo. We saw the pandas, which are even more cute in person than one might assume.
Did you dare go close to the enclosure, Michael?
Yeah, I did. That was easy.
Because it was an enclosure.
Yes, that was easy. That was easy. It wasn't high. That was easy. But yeah, those type of activities. We also visited another city, Shenyang, which is where we also saw some of the broadcast facilities, the outside broadcast bus that Aisha spoke of. Yeah, it was an awesome 2 weeks.
Good stuff. So we're going to take a break here. When we come back, I'm going to pick the guys' brains about the technology a little bit more and how it's used in China as compared to, some of what we see here in Barbados. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 12 minutes to go before 7 o'clock, 12 minutes to go before 7. I have some colleagues sitting with me on the couches today. Anesta Henry, Michael Elcock, Aisha Reed. Technology, for us. I know, Anesta, you come from a print broadcast background.
Yes.
Now you're in a broadcast environment. But I know for us, I can't even liken what new technology is to us as compared to other things. I won't make any analogies because they might not be fun. But, you know, I saw your eyes light up when you talked about some of the technology. So especially when we think about some of the things we have to do, loops we have to go through to make things happen, and when we see this new technology, it's like, oh. So talk to me about some of the things that you saw outside of the broadcast bus, because I heard that already. That really piqued your interest, particularly how they deliver the level of service they do. Before you say anything, I remember we had a partnership with the Chinese back in the day where they used to provide some series for us to play. And usually a series for us is 13 episodes. We would have programs from them where there would be thousands of episodes, you know. So I know the population is much bigger, but in terms of how they're able to deliver on media in this way, it's just amazing.
For me, what stood out apart from the outside broadcast bus was the way they had the green screen set up. Picture a room as big as the studio, just painted. So it ain't just a curtain. It's a full painted in green. They have the little garden and stuff set up so they could do so many different things. And big screens. They utilize big screens on walls to show how they can run their different social media platforms, and they're showing up to date, lifetime, everything. And the studios, some of them are not even operated by anybody physically. Right, they're present in the room, but they're outside in the control room
area, yeah.
And they are just running it from that area. So it was a wonder to see, for sure. The ability for them to do live streaming for, they said 27 hours, and I think at one point in time there was a storm, and they can just come, plug in, boom, and they're ready to go. So in a setup, you ain't gonna come and say, oh, well, this is gonna take a little while to get hit. They just come, hit the ground running, 27, 28 hours.
And we know that technology can make it so much easier. We do it now, and we're capable of doing it, but ease of doing it is what makes all the difference. What for you outside of the pandas, Michael?
Pandas are big.
Pandas king in China, by the way.
As she mentioned, the studio that we saw where they have the PTZ cameras, which are pan, tilt, zoom. So they're set up in the roof, along the walls, and as she said, you can just walk in, a producer and announcer, whoever can just come in, sit in the seat. The control room then takes over from there, and you could do an entire broadcast with like 3 people, if that much. You might just need a minimum of even 2 people, just the announcer and some person in the control room, and you can get all that stuff done. The ability as well for them to present up-to-date information on a vast variety of topics like traffic, and they have something that monitors wildfires and all these kind of things. And it's all real time, and it is all on just a seamless screen, technologically advanced looking screen that the anchors themselves also have access to via their mobile phones. So as they're doing the broadcast, they can just tap in and bring up information on screen. It felt like being a bit in the future.
It was very futuristic for you?
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful stuff. And Esther?
As you would have mentioned, I came from a print background. Came into the media at 15, 16 years old, almost 20 years in the media. So coming to CBC for me was a life-changing, a big difference, and I am in awe at some of the technology that I see here in terms of the radio stations and stuff. But going to those media houses, China, I was blown away last year, as I said, and this year. I too am impressed by the massive green screen that they have. But the highlight for me was going into this massive room. I can't remember the exact name, but there's a specific name for it, where they would they have like hundreds of monitors. I mean hundreds of monitors, and there are people monitoring what are being shown on these monitors. And to me, that was pretty impressive. Like sometimes 1 or 2 people just monitoring hundreds of monitors.
All right, amazing stuff. I'm happy that you guys had, such a great time. I can see that you enjoyed it. And I stumbled on this. I happened to be in the newsroom, as I often am. After I get off air, I make sure I go up there and make them nice and miserable.
As
I should. When Anesta came in, and everybody was saying, "Welcome back," and I said, "Welcome back from where?" And she's like, "Oh, I just went to China." I was like, "What? That's a big deal," So it's great that you're able to share, but I think we need to be able to share even more in making sure that we're able to bring this technology to Barbados. I know that COVID kind of drove us in that direction in a major way, but to have industry players like you who can share based on experience and knowledge is paramount.
Yeah, I just want to mention that a part of the discussions we have there is that China is very interested in how they can assist countries, Belt and Road countries, in getting to the point that they're at as it relates to the advanced technology and developing our new media platforms. So we are hoping to stick to seeing that through as much as we possibly can, so that maybe one day we'll have some folks visiting CBC and like, wow.
When I was telling Anesta to come, she was like, "I don't know, I'm so nervous. I don't know if she'll be able to talk." And now I'm trying to wrap up. She's talking. But that's good stuff. That happens when you get to this side of the media. So great to see you again.
Yes, please.
Wonderful to meet you officially, Michael.
No
I'll see you when I get upstairs, Anesta. And we'll be right back with Kelly Cadogan. She is sharing something new and exciting, as she always does when she visits Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
Calling all Soccerholics! The highly anticipated soccer pop-up party of the season is back! Follow us to a different location every Friday night from 8 p.m. from May 10th to June 14th for the Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum 98.1 The One Soccer Stock Pop-Up Party. We bring you the music and giveaways, and you bring the vibes and the action.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Soca Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, welcome back. It's already just about 3 minutes to go before 7 o'clock. One of my favorite people is here. I fan out when I see Kelly Cadogan. I mean, she's so talented, so many ways, so beautiful.
Thank you.
Inside and out. It's always great to have you on Morning Barbados.
Thank you. It's always great to be here.
And you're celebrating a major milestone. I remember many years ago talking about the Walking in My Shoes showcase that you were putting on. Now you're celebrating 10 years. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Walking in My Own Shoes is 10 years this year. We are excited about it, and it's coming up on Sunday, the 9th of June at the Frank Colombo Hall.
Tell me about how things have kind of grown throughout the years from where you started and reflecting on this 10th year.
A lot of growth has taken place. We've experienced learning a lot of what it means to produce an event, to continue to hone talent through the vocal training and the coaching that we do at East Point Productions, Inc. We've learned how to have a better flow, a better model, I would say. And every single year it is always how can we take it to another level, how can we make the experience even better for the cast as well as for the audience as well too.
And this time it's an award ceremony as well?
Yes, we're including an award ceremony, a global award ceremony actually. We are the East Point Productions Inc. is the center representatives for London College of Music. So we're the Barbados Center. And within our own company, we also prepare persons for exams. So we're also celebrating those persons who've done examinations within this year and some people who would have done previously. And we're also doing special awards as well because it's 10 years. So we want to be able to acknowledge some of the people who have been very instrumental, some of the students who have been a part of the program, you know, celebrating maybe a longer time or just being persistent. We just want to be able to celebrate them within our showcase this year.
The vocal school celebrating people who've been instrumental. I love it. All right, so it's coming up on Sunday, June 9th at Frank Cullimer Hall. We want to make sure that everybody comes out.
Yes.
Where can we get our tickets and what's the cost?
All right, the ticket's $80 for adults, and for children between the ages of 3 and 17, try to spread it as wide as I possibly could, $45, but we're all out of the physical tickets for kids. So you can only get those online at Ticket Links if you want to get for the persons between 3 and 17, you know, though we want to make sure we get in the BCC students who are still students, you know, so we want to be able to do that. So Ticket Links for sure. You can also get them from Jeans Inc. You can also get them from A&B Music as well as Things Gospel, the Warrens branch.
Beautiful.
And if you want to just give us a call at the office to see maybe you're in our area in Welches, you can give us a call at 266-0442.
Oh, that's beautiful. Talk to me about who and what we'll see once we're there.
Okay, so this year I'm going to be performing as I normally do.
That's a positive. Nobody else has to come out.
So I'm going to be there performing as well. But this year we're going to have a very special feature, Jalea Boyce. She has been in the program from the time she started when she was 13. She's developed over the years, and we're really happy to be able to feature her this year. And we're going to be having persons who are part of the program, who've been in the program for a while, but also we go through audition process. So this year we have 10 wonderful acts of performers.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I know that you've been doing this work for so long under the banner of East Point Productions. And there's so much happening. You even tried at one point in time to teach me to sing.
Of course. I believe that everybody can sing. That's what I'm here to do.
But how is the operative question? How can
well,
people
that's
sing?
where I come in. That's where, just not me, but my entire team, we come in and we teach you how to do it, because you may have a desire to do it, but it's our job to teach you how. And I think that's what the show celebrates. All those people who just had a desire to, it brings them joy. And it doesn't, you know, people normally think, you know, because I'm learning to sing, it means that I want to become a singer. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
The majority of our clients are people who just have a passion for singing. They enjoy it. They want to be able to develop themselves personally. They're seeing personal as well as professional changes within their lives. And what I want to add to that is that our special guest is the Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union on the show. Yeah.
Good stuff. How are they incorporating what they do? Their chorale is going to be?
Yes.
I didn't even know they had a chorale.
Yes, they had a chorale. And what I think is beautiful about, and one of the things that was one of my goals years ago when I started this company, was to be able to, because I understand the importance of productivity within companies, and I also believe that we can do so through voice. Voice is an instrument. We use it every day. We talk every day, but we can also use it to sing. And they have been the credit union has also been very instrumental in terms of understanding the vision that I had and be able to partner with us and to be able to say, yes, you want to be able to help develop as a form of health and wellness for some of their members, their staff. So we are really happy to have them being on board as one of our clients, you know, who understood and see the need for their staff to be able to have talent and gifts and skills over the years. So we're really happy to have them
That's
for this
beautiful.
year.
Even beyond recreation, a lot of people don't see the health benefits of being able to
Yes.
participate in
Yes.
the arts.
Mhm.
So this is beautiful that you're partnering with the Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union Limited in this way. Again, tickets, adults $80, children 3 to 17, $45. You pay $90 at the door. And tickets are available at A&B Music Supplies, Jeans Inc., Things Gospel in Warrens, Voices 101 students. Or of course, you can call East Point Productions.
Yes.
It's been 10 years
Yes.
of the Walking in My Own Shoes. And of course, you have a song
Yes.
titled the
Walking
same.
in My Own Shoes, yes.
How many students do you think have passed through your doors?
Over about 300 to 400 people within the last 10 years. And it's just not Barbados, but it's also I've been working in Belize as well too. So, you know, quite a bit of people have been through the program.
That is major.
Yeah.
How has all of this influenced your own direction as an artist?
In a very positive way, I would say, yes, for sure. It has helped me to be able to remember just what it says, walking in my own shoes, which is the foundational pillars for walking in my own shoes is walking in faith, being strong, having confidence, and being fearless. And that is who I am. So I think a lot of who I am filters into it. So it's kind of a reciprocity within the whole thing of it being from me as an artist, because it speaks to who I am.
And that's what she's bringing to the stage, along with an amazing cast on Sunday, June 9th. That's this Sunday. So get out and get your tickets. It starts at 6 o'clock on the nose. And it's the 10th anniversary Walking in My Own Shoes vocal showcase and global award ceremony. If I look hard enough, I can find my Walking in My Own Shoes t-shirt that she gave me years ago. So make sure you come out and support. And it will be interesting to see Kelly Cadogan, Jalea Boyce, Voices 101, and special guest act, the Barbados Public Workers Cooperative Credit Union, Corral.
Yeah.
I wish you the very best, Kelly. I'll
Thank
see
you
you on
so
Sunday.
much. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so come out and support. Time for another break here on Morning Barbados. We have an update of the news coming your way.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
You know, he was saying, Thornhill, we can sell out the stadium, you know. That's my area you making sport. You can be half in here. Only then to turn up the Saturday morning at the stadium to do the broadcast. The funny stadium, as we were saying now in local parlance, burst. Overflowing to the point where then you had to get extra seating on the velodrome, the cycle track.
Golden Glory, celebrating our senior games, Tuesday at 8:03 p.m. on air and online.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
Do you look
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
So you know we love to talk HR, and this morning is no different. We have attorney at law Maya Kalman coming in this segment that we usually share with the Human Resources Management Association of Barbados. So good morning to the entire membership. So wonderful that you've worked to be able to form this partnership so people really can check in. So Maya is here with us today. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Tisha, and good morning, Barbados.
Good stuff. Good to have you with us. Leading and managing change in the workplace. My. Now, where do we begin? Because, as the old people would say, change is the only constant.
Yes, I was
that
just going to.
There is. So why is it important to have an effective change management strategy when we talk about the work environment?
You know, as you was just saying, Tisha, change is the only thing that's constant. It's one thing that is guaranteed in life. And if that is the situation in our personal life, it is no different in the organizations. And the reason why our organizational strategy is important is because it's a valuable tool, simply because it serves as a backup plan, a contingency plan when anything goes wrong. You know, we have political changes in parties, we have changes in the way how we do business, new products, new services. Just recently, yesterday, I was able to log on and watch my colleagues engaging in advocacy via YouTube. And so years ago, I believe that 30, 40 years ago, I don't think that the legal profession, as reserved that it is, would have adopted and acknowledged this sort of emerging technology. So change is very critical to organizations.
Even in terms of what the courts, when we're talking about or referencing your particular profession, what the courts have been able to do owing to COVID.
Yeah.
Whoever thought that you would go to court by Zoom?
Yes.
You know, so how do you work to get ahead of that? In the segment, not the one just before, but just down the line, we talked about some of our media people going to China and observing how much they've advanced with technology, as we expect, because they make a lot of stuff there. So is it sufficient for an organization to have just a strategic plan, an overall plan, or do you have to kind of hone in and say, okay, this is the plan for change in each specific area?
Yes, I think it requires a meticulous approach. Some people will be more resistant or hesitant to change, but it's very important for the growth of an organization, because as society changes, you need to keep up with society and the laws.
All right, we know that a lot of the times there's a lot of resistance to change. How do we get our employees to change the mindset to accept change?
Well, I would say, first of all, you have to harness the power of communication. You have to be able to speak to your employees, let them know what is going on. And of course, there are certain high-level conversations that every single employee would not be privy to, but I think an employee should not be left in the dark. So if you're doing a merger or acquisition, any kind of major shift within an organization, layoffs, these employees need to be attuned to that, so that they can be aware of what is going on in the organization.
Is there a particular category of person or worker that you find might be a little more resistant to change? I don't know if there's, and there probably is, data to support. We obviously didn't do research in that area, but based on your personal observation.
Yeah, certainly personal observation and data for sure. I don't want to offend anyone, but it's always be the battle between the Generation Zers and the baby boomers. And it's always the older generation who's always resistant a lot of times to change, especially when it comes to technology and new ways of how to do things. You've seen that a lot.
When we talk about getting meticulous and, really getting granular with the way that we approach change and managing it, what are we talking about specifically? Because we certainly have to go beyond a bunch of papers that we shuffle around.
Yes, it's more personal and an internal thing that you have to focus on before you can actually physically implement and monitor the change. So you have to get this buy-in. And as I said before, this buy-in comes first of all with harnessing the power of communication, being transparent with this communication, telling your employees how is this change going to impact them personally and how will it impact the organization as a whole.
Do you find that companies in this part of the world are transparent when it comes to honestly sharing about what's happening? And I understand fully the concept of not being able to share information with everybody, obviously, because if you're doing mergers, as you said, acquisitions, if you're going to be doing some people transitioning out of the organization owing to things like attrition and things like that, there will be changes, so you won't be able to share everything. But have we practiced a culture of transparency?
I don't think completely, to be quite frank. And then persons are always left in the dark, and then it becomes even more an emotional kind of thing, where people have to be grappling with unemployment and well-being and overall employee wellness. I don't think that we are as transparent as we ought to be to employees. We owe it to them and the external stakeholders.
It's absolutely true. And, you know, if we sit and reflect on, you know, honestly on personal experiences and so on, and we look at what's happening in society, a lot of the times people at a management level are carrying on conversations about what they want to do, but they never kind of clue in the employees who will be impacted, whether it's the fact that they're the ones who will have to carry out these changes or get up to speed with these changes. So in trying to move beyond just the paper shuffling and the rhetoric talk, what do they truly do? How do you effect it? Can you simply take it on as an entity, or must you maybe have an expert come in to assist?
I would say that you can have both. You can have an organization's, the top level, of course, speak to obviously the lower persons within the organization, subordinates. And of course, if you have that budget in the organization, you can also have a consultant come in. There are change management consultants. I've actually specialized in that particular area as well. I've done some certifications in that, and you can actually go into an organization and assist them with their change management process, whether it's implementing a new process, a new system, you know, and help them to implement it and also monitor it, because it's not enough to just implement it. You have to be able to monitor it and evaluate it.
And how important is it to be able to, I hate to use this term, but hold your employees' hands as you make these changes so that they can truly come along, particularly the baby boomers and other generations that you're referring to?
Yes. It's very important, and giving them the resources, because we were saying earlier before, how do we go about, you can't just push it on persons. As a boss, I say that you gotta do this here, this is a new system. That's not the approach. It can't be the approach at all. The approach has to be one that has to include patience, compassion, and empathy. You know, culturally, Barbadians are known to be very resistant to change, but it's the only thing that's constant. You have to, again, to let them know what is important to them, and what is important to the organization as a whole, and by giving them the necessary resources. So if you're going to implement something like a technological advancement, you have to be able to provide that support, those resources, budget for them, so that the employees, you know, feel fully supported and heard within this particular change as we transition into something new.
Wearing your hat as attorney at law, is provision made under the ERA for employees to kind of be protected when these changes are made, so that they're not pushed out?
Well, yes, there is to some degree. ERA requires some serious revamping, to be quite frank, but there is, as it relates to restructuring for sure, and layoffs as it relates to those particular areas. You know, when it comes to a certain amount of persons being made redundant, there obviously has to be certain consultations and the like. So there is some provisions under the ERA and, of course, the common law that we treat to in these particular instances.
And if we shift focus from the employers, because we've been talking a lot about implementing change, but let's shift focus a little bit to employees. Where do they sit in terms of how they can lend their voice to any changes coming in the organizations they serve?
I love that you said that, because it's a two-way street. I mean, when I think that you need both persons, you need two hands to clap, and employees throughout that particular process should be able, throughout the consultations, in meetings, they should be able to give their voice. If a manager comes and says, look, this is a new way that I want to do things, a new system you want to implement, as soon as that person begins to give their, take on it, you shouldn't be like, man, shut up and here, I say is the boss, and this is the way how it's supposed to be. Then listen to them. As I said, practice empathy, practice patience, allow them to finish it. You may not be able to see it their way, because you may have some succession plan in your mind as to why you're doing these things, but you have to allow your employees to be able to give their take on it.
And planning is paramount.
Yes.
There's so many organizations, and it doesn't necessarily come from a negative place, but there's a negative outlook. When you say, when is this due? Yesterday. So let's talk about the importance of giving the right time frame to be able to truly ventilate and implement.
Yes, certainly. Again, it goes back to communication, being able to communicate that effectively to an employee. An employee has to be clear on when timelines are, needed, because certain things have to be prioritized, as you could appreciate, over others, and that has to be clearly articulated to an employee. On all occasions, so that we don't have a situation where an employee is left in the dark or doesn't know that they were supposed to do this and that, through effective communication. And that happens within the hybrid setup. So, you have the normal brick and mortar, but if you have persons specifically in the professional spaces who do remote working, that is just as critical, implementing the particular change through effective communication.
And I think this is all exacerbated sometimes. We get so upset and challenged when we are in a workplace and you walk by someone and then the next thing you see a big document in an email. So again, coming back to communication, how important is it to, do a conversation and not just kind of push paper?
Yeah. That's very critical. As I said, sometimes it gets heavier because there's an emotional side to it. Everybody's emotions are all flared. I deal with emotion. I'm in the business of emotions, and it's all about managing expectations and emotions. You have to understand why employees do the things they do, and you have to get very, personal, to be quite very human, understand them, they understand you, so that we can have some level of buy-in. It wouldn't have 100% buy-in, and that's just the reality of it. Everybody's not going to agree to it, but having the buy-in to a certain level, that's important.
Well, the truth is, we don't necessarily need that 100% buy-in from everybody.
We don't.
Depending on the roles that they will play.
Yes.
But as you mentioned, at the center of all of it is communication. And, I would like for us to leave this conversation and, talking about that actual plan and kind of laying out that roadmap from idea, almost sounds like an ad, from idea to feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Or to execution.
To execution.
Yeah.
And feedback is equally as important as well, because you can do a whole set of changes, and then if it doesn't work, there has to be a structure in place to be able to revisit it as well.
Correct. Yeah. You have to be able to, so from the idea, you have this idea, you want to implement a new service, you want to implement a new product within your organizations, you have the consultations, not just with your internal employees, sometimes you have external stakeholders that touch and concern the business, being able to meet with them back and forth to tease out certain issues that come about. And then of course we go straight into the implementation. If you need assistance from a consultant outside or within your organization, you can marry the two. And then of course getting the level of buy-in and implementing the actual change initiative, whether it's a new product, a new service, new technology. And then, of course, there's the implementation, the feedback, and the evaluation. So that is important.
Yeah, we could talk about this forever, because we've not even touched on the people who come into organizations and they say, this is what I want for this particular department or organization. And everybody at the outset who doesn't fit, for whatever reason, their ideal of what it should look like, they just want to get rid of them. I'm dealing with a situation like that right now that has been shared with me. So hopefully Nicholas will come next time and we'll be able to delve further into some of that. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming in, Maya, and sharing with us.
Thank you, Tisha.
Lots to think about: leading and managing change in the workplace. And when we talk about managing change, it's important for us as employees to think about how we can manage change as well, because it really can spill over into our personal lives too, particularly if you don't feel like you're keeping pace with the changes being made and the breakneck speed that technology is going at. It can leave us behind in a snap. So make sure you stay on top of things. All right, it's time for another break, but stay with us. We have a lot more coming up.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Do you look like your dad? Do people often say, use the spitting image of your father? That likeness could make your dad a winner in our CBC Mini-Me Father's Day contest. From June 1st to 6th, submit a photo of your dad and his lookalike son or daughter to marketing@cbc.bb or via WhatsApp to 467-5465. Then rally your family and friends to vote on CBC Barbados on Facebook and CBC Barbados 246 on Instagram from June 8th to 10th. The photo with the most votes wins a staycation at the luxurious Sunbay Hotel. Gift vouchers compliments world-class cuts, and a photo shoot compliments 8216 Logistics. What are you waiting for? Get those photos with Dad in now.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308 and don't miss a single six, wicket or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, so we've been having conversations, behind the scenes. You know that happens. But we're going to bring you up to scratch on what's happening. I've been joined by Rihanna Smith, who is Assistant Coordinator and Researcher with, get this, the Barbados National Register of Historic Places. Did not know that agency existed. You know, they say you learn something new every single day.
Yes, every day.
Yeah, being here on this couch, I learn something new every single minute. And Shernay Aline is Site Manager over at the Morgan Lewis Mill. Is the season of emancipation, and for a long time we've heard a lot about crop over, and the season of emancipation is kind of whispering in the background. Not so much in 2024. We most certainly are sharing a lot, even if it's only to talk about the Heritage Village that's just down the street from us. But we're also going to be doing some exciting things over at the Morgan Lewis Mill.
Yes.
So great to have both of you with us.
Thank you.
Talking about these initiatives that are coming up. Tell us about what will be happening at the mill, Shernay.
Okay, so first of all, it's all within the umbrella of the Division of Culture in the Prime Minister's office. They're having Heritage Month. June is the month of heritage in Barbados, so we will be celebrating that. And we are on their calendar for the 15th. So Mingle at the Mill is a cocktail fundraising event for the Barbados National Trust. Now, the trust is responsible for several heritage sites around the island, and the Morgan Lewis Mill is one of those. And it's a non-profit organization, so fundraising is a very important aspect of that to help maintain these properties. And the thing about the mill is that it's one of the monuments in Barbados. I mean, people know, okay, it's on our 25 cents or it's on our $2 bill. You know, when Pine Hill Dairy had their celebration packaging, it was on the box and so forth. And so it's well known from that perspective, but a lot of work has gone into actually making it a destination, and not just for tourists. We know we have it as an attraction, it's a photo op, but no, we've done a whole lot more at the site, and we want to have people come out, not only support, but come see what's happening at the mill, come see what's gone into it at this point. Let it be a Barbadian monument, something that we can be proud of, something that we also enjoy. Don't let's leave it for the visitors to come and take their photos. It's something that all of us can enjoy and be part of as we celebrate our heritage and culture.
And of course, within the context of Heritage Month, that fits in perfectly.
Exactly.
When we look at the grand history that goes along with the mill, and the fact that the mill has such unique properties, even in terms of its operation within this part of the world.
Yes.
Yeah, so absolutely great stuff. At the risk of sounding awfully simple, tell me what you do at the Barbados National Register of Historic Places.
Okay. At the Barbados National Register of Historic Places, we are currently building out a database of historically significant sites in Barbados. Not just sites, but districts, family homes, homes of our heroes, and so on.
basically within the same breath of ensuring that, you know, the first tourist is a Barbadian, highlighting certain places on our map that have served significance for the country over the past few centuries.
I love that. Someone needs to get that somewhere on a sign. The first tourist is a Bajan. Absolutely love it. So you guys are also going to be working along with multiple agencies and so on to be able to celebrate emancipation season, the season of emancipation as well. So talk to me about, there are 2 specific events?
Yes, definitely. Charnel just mentioned the Mingle at the Mill, and what I came to talk about today is our pop-up roadshow. Very much under the umbrella of Heritage Month, the month of June. The members of the Barbados, the Division of Culture, and our volunteers and the members of the National Library Service will be coming together to have a little pop-up to share a bit more about Heritage Month, to share a bit more about how you could become a member of the National Library, and of course about the Barbados National Register of Historic Places and what we do.
All right, good stuff. So there's membership to research as well. A member of the Barbados National Library that falls, or you fall under that umbrella, or?
Not particularly, but we have a fairly incestuous relationship with the Barbados National Library and, say, the Barbados Museum. At the National Register, we do a lot of research, you know, trying to find the maps, trying to find the stories, trying to find different archival information that would help in turn to build out the database. And so being a member of the library is helpful because, of course, you get to learn more about Barbados. But at the National Register, there is a focus on historic places and sites and so on.
I can see the excitement in your eyes when we think about it, because once you start digging, I mean, is
so much stories, so many
so
stories.
Interesting. Even when you started talking, Shernay, about the fact that it's only 25-cent piece, I know that all of a sudden I was thinking, oh yeah, where is it? I was thinking, okay, can I look at a 25-cent piece? Because you know, once you're able to touch, feel the history, the historical value, it makes that much of a difference. So let's talk about this mix and mingle in honor or for
the Barbados
National Trust as the beneficiary, because we know they do a lot of work in this area as well.
And unfortunately, I've been hearing, since being at the site, I've been hearing from the general public a lot. They assume that the trust has deep pockets or that it's well funded and so on. And what they don't realize is that over the years, they've been very generous beneficiaries who might have given to specific projects, but it's an ongoing process. And maintaining these monuments, especially because of their age, they're very particular things. You can't just treat them the way you would treat a modern piece of equipment or a modern building. You have to have specialized resources as well as specialized labor force. I mean, the persons who work on it have to have very particular skills and the materials that they use and so on. So it's a very expensive and ongoing process. So for example, at the mill, one of the things we have to keep vines off the structure. Vines are more destructive than the hurricanes. Our mill is over 300 years old. It's lived through storms, it's lived through hurricanes and so many different things. But something like a little vine can be very, very disruptive at picking those stones apart. So we have to have very special equipment there on a regular basis to get people up because of the shape of the mill and so on. You can't just use regular scaffolding and so forth. So being able to support it, but more importantly, part of our education, like you just said, we want the public and the community to know what this signifies. You know, we have the oldest windmill, the largest windmill in the region, in the Caribbean. We were the first, we were where it started in terms of the sugar cane culture, sugar production of rum. We're part of that story and a significant part of it, not just the windmill, but Barbados. I don't know if a lot of people understand just how as small as we are relative to some of the other islands, a lot of it started here because of our topography and different things like that. So there's a lot of interesting things to learn, and part of the mingle and the cocktail, we'll get to hear some of the exciting aspects of our history as well. So there'll be a little bit of that in there. If persons want to tour, they'll get to go inside of the mill and see that. But as I said, it's about experiencing that culture. We will definitely be featuring things made with sugar, a lot of our local treats. and Barbados rum, because again, that's where it started. You know, at the windmill, before we had all the modern technology, it was done by hand in a very, very natural, rustic way, and we want to showcase that. We want people to enjoy it and experience it, and it is a lovely, lovely facility and site with amazing views.
You
So that's
guys
another
have
part of
sent
it.
a better ambassador. I'm ready to go right now. Absolutely. And the fact that it's still operational, not in the way it was it's over 300 years
Right.
ago, but most certainly that is still in use at this stage makes all the difference.
Well,
a few details.
Yeah.
a
Let me
few
just tuck in here, because we do get a lot of questions about that. Unfortunately, in 2020, you know, we had quite a number of things happening. So even though the mill would have been had some significant work done on it before, unfortunately, when we had that freak storm back in 2020 and then Hurricane Irma, some damage was done to the sails of the mill. So we can't operate it at this point. And then during COVID, it would have been closed. There's a lot of rusting of the equipment. So it will take quite a significant donation or significant raising of funds in order to make it operational.
Right.
But what
So
we
this is
do is we have
operational.
all
I
of
said
the
in
functioning
use.
parts. Yes.
In use.
Yeah.
So we're still utilizing
The space.
space,
Yes,
which
you're
is
absolutely correct.
which is what I was referring to.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah. So let's talk details about the actual mix and mingle at the mill. Love the name as well.
Okay, and I'm glad that you spoke of use of the space, because one of the other things is that we're going to have some local artists showcasing their work. Because again, it is exactly that. It's a space to use. So it's literally a museum. And we want people to be able to come and see not only history, but modern interpretations of that. So you get to enjoy art, you're going to get to enjoy our heritage cuisine. So what things are very traditional and indigenous to Barbadian food, where that would have come from, elevated because it's a cocktail event. So we might have some little twists to that and so forth. And then to also experience rum and rum beverages in a different way, because we tend to have a view of rum as, you know, one of the lower alcohols, especially with the kind of marketing, international marketing that's been going on. You hear a lot of Barbadians saying, oh, I don't drink rum now. And I'm thinking, what? How do you not drink rum? You know, in terms of they prefer some other type of beverage. But there's so many ways of utilizing rums, and there's so many other types of rums as well, different ages, different qualities of rum. So it's something to be enjoyed by everyone. The event will be children friendly, so you can come out with your family. And like I said, we have sweet treats,
experience
you know, and we make
Yeah.
all of our treats with Barbadian brown sugar. There's a perception that, you know, the white sugar, it might be easier to use, but no, the brown sugar has that molasses in it that gives it a different flavor. It also gives it a lot more nutrients. So it's not just an empty carb that the other processed sugars would have. So look forward to things like nut cakes and sugar cakes and tamarind balls, all the things that we would have grown up on as children, you know, as opposed to the other packaged type treats.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Now let's double back to the pop-up.
Yes.
Share more about that with us, when it will come off and how we can get involved.
Yes, this Saturday, June 8th at Hero Square from 9:30 to 3 p.m. We are going to be located in Hero Square. The way you could get involved is by just taking a stroll through the city. You'll see us, you'll see our tent, and you could come get a little flyer about the events, the calendar for Heritage Month, and so on.
What are some of the particular events that jump out at you? Particularly because you're working in this particular area of really documenting these interesting places.
Well, right off the bat, I would say the Antiques Market. I can't say the date right now. There's so many events this month. But the Antiques Market, persons will have the opportunity to see different old Barbadian furniture, old Barbadian types of jewelry and so on that they'd be able to purchase. They will be for purchase, and a fraction of the sales made will be going towards the National Trust, the works at the National Trust.
All right, so beautiful stuff. Thank you, ladies, for coming in and sharing with us.
You're welcome.
The Mingle at the Mill is June 15th, 3 to 7 o'clock. So make sure you get in there. And I know there's limited space, so you want to make sure that you get, you know, your tickets to be a part of it. And it's a collaborative fundraising cocktail event between the Division of Culture, Prime Minister's Office, and the Barbados National Trust and Cafe Mosaic. Of course, the beneficiary, Barbados National Trust, to ensure they're able to do the work that they continue to do in the area of our heritage and really documenting who we are and what we have available and why we are the very first tourists. I love that. Plus, they're going to be in Hero Square coming up for a pop-up to share more information about the observance, the events that will be coming off throughout the month, and how you can start to do a little bit of research as well. I think we need to get into that headspace as Barbadians as well. Do a little bit of digging. We meet a lot of people who say, you family to me, I know this last name, and so on, but we don't go beyond that. So now is the time to do it. Thank you, both ladies, for coming in and sharing with us. And I most certainly will be calling on you, Shernay, because you are peeking at my notes. And I'm going to have to pick your brain a little bit more, because we share the same views when it comes to rum.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Look forward to that.
It's all in the marketing. I know it's all in the marketing. Again, thank you.
And thank you for having us.
And it's so
Take
wonderful
care.
to be able to share about Heritage Month, Emancipation Month, rather, in this way. So I certainly hope that you're paying attention, all right? Time for another break, but more is coming on Morning Barbados, so stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308, and don't miss a single six, wicket, or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
20 minutes before 8 o'clock. Time goes by so quickly. Sometimes I can't believe that we're almost at the end of the show, but it's time for us to talk a little bit to Rhea Cummins Jordan, who's a fashion designer, and she's an award-winning fashion designer. We can add that to her title, as she took an award from the Transcultura 2024 presentation. So we are celebrating that. First of all, good morning, welcome, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let's go back a little bit before we come forward. And let me just say that you look like a designer.
Thank you.
Whatever that looks like. You know, there's always a look and feel, but
Yeah.
you know, I can feel your unique style coming through.
you.
And I was asking you even before we started talking on camera, where did this begin?
This began fairly young, but more so, I thought I would have been an artist, not a designer, but then it pivoted around 16, 17, and it has just been going ever since then.
Did you always have a keen eye for fashion?
I wouldn't say yes. I'd say I like what I like, and it was more so, I was more so tasked with the challenge of bringing the two together to make that also palatable for other people.
So how did you merge the two? Your love for art, I would imagine you were good at
drawing yeah.
and traditional stuff like that. And then as someone who says you weren't necessarily one who had a keen eye for fashion, how did the two come together?
Honestly, it was a process. It had been a lot of trial and error. I dabbled in a lot of different fields of the creative sphere, and along my fashion journey, I did swimwear briefly, then I did a bit more urban wear, and then I finally landed on resort, and then I found a way to merge the art in the fashion in the form of applique or embroidery or the macrame or decorative knots. And it has been beautiful.
What's your process, and how often do you kind of share what you're working on? I know traditionally in the international space, you have, shows. There are seasons for the release of new designs from various larger and smaller brands and so on as well. So, talk to us about the process and how then you're able to show what you're working on.
Okay, so for me, I can be very temperamental. So I take a bit of a hiatus from time to time if I'm not in a creative space. So I will do a collection possibly every 2 years, or I'll do like a 5-piece collection once a year. And I try to keep myself motivated, being that we don't necessarily have seasons here in Barbados. It's more of a tropical climate, so resort works very well for me. And how I go about that is I try to draw inspiration from stuff at home. I try to make it as close to home as possible without being cliche.
All right, so 16 designers from 11 countries took part in this particular competition. I want to hear all about the journey.
Oh, the journey was hilarious because I honestly forgot I applied for the competition and then I got the confirmation email for the competition, and it was a bit of a panic. But then we pulled it all together, and it was 5 looks, and I won. The competition was a great experience. It honestly did not feel like I was competing because we formed such a lovely family and bond as competitors. So it really felt like it was just like a get-together for creative people, and it was lovely.
So it was staged outside of Barbados. How do you prep for a competition? Did they give you a competition like this? Did they give you the parameters under which they would have been judging you beforehand?
Yes,
Once
they
you
did.
got there, did you have to kind of tweak things to make sure that you could deliver on what you needed to? How did that side of things work out?
Oh, for that side of things, it was a little nerve-wracking because you don't have the advantage of being at home where if I do need to tweak something, it's as easy as me, jumping into it. So I first started by choosing my strongest, what I would assume would be my 5 strongest pieces. And then I whittled that down to 3, and then I created 2 completely new looks for the competition. Then when I got there, my only challenge was that one of the pieces now kind of was not allowed because it was a little too risky. So luckily for me, I had walked with additional pieces from the collection, and I just substituted that one. And that was honestly my biggest obstacle because I really liked that piece, so I kind of was beating myself up a bit about it, but it worked out in the end. We had the guidelines, we knew what they wanted. There were not many rules, they just wanted us to show the similarities throughout the region and also be socially aware because we're trying to be a lot more eco-friendly as we go forward within the fashion space as well.
How did it feel to kind of be judged? I know sometimes as creatives, we like what we like and we're going to make it because we like it.
Yeah.
But then here are people who are saying, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah,
judging your work.
It's
That's
nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking, definitely. That would have been one of the most, I wouldn't say difficult, but that would have been the most, the thing I was least anticipating because obviously it's going to be hard to have your work criticized, but it wasn't. It was more so of me presenting my body of work and explaining the inspiration, my process, and then they would ask me a few questions about the process and the inspiration, my materials, and that was it. And then we got a lot of nice constructive criticism.
Good stuff. Apart from being able to move forward with bragging rights until the next competition, what do you think this big win will do for you and your career and how you approach maybe presenting your very next collection?
It has honestly given me a lot more confidence because I tend to doubt myself a lot, especially when it comes to my work. So I now have a bit more confidence going forward, and I am motivated to actually apply for a lot more opportunities regionally and internationally. And I'd also like to do that a lot more at home as well, where I step out of my comfort zone, because I'm a homebody. I am not one to, poke around and step out. So this was a risk for me, and it was definitely worth it.
Are there any international styles, brands, labels, designers, even eras of art and fashion that influence your unique style?
I would more say possibly like home decor, because I really do like the macrame. So I'm really enjoying marrying the two, like things that you would not necessarily associate with clothing. I like working, I guess, with non-conventional materials. So in that aspect, I am heavily influenced more so from like the macrame side of things. But as it comes to other brands, I try not to follow too closely, because you can get lost in the comparing yourself to other brands and not thinking that you're up to scratch or on par with the others. Even though it is nice to be aware of what's going on, I try my best not to get too tied up, because then you can be stuck very quickly.
How closely is your personal style tied to what you present?
Oh.
In other words, are you wearing what you're making?
Yes, I am. I try my best each time I leave the house to wear at least one item, whether it be jewelry, a handbag, a dress. I try my best to wear my own brand, because I am essentially my own billboard, and I do not make anything that I personally would not wear. And it's a lot better for someone to see the piece in motion than for me to just post it on social media or have it on a mannequin. So I 100% wear everything that I create.
How does it work out in this part of the world? Because I feel that we're not as in tune to fashion in the way that that we would like, in terms of thinking, okay, there's a major event coming up, I need a designer to get me a piece. So how is it working in this particular area, in this part of the world? Of course, winning that competition is a major boost, but to kind of sustain it year-round?
To sustain it year-round, honestly, is difficult, and it can be a little disheartening. However, like, you just really need to stay motivated. You need to find your client base, and you need to kind of saturate yourself within that. And then you also need to advocate for yourself. So like, whereas, like I said, I will wear my stuff. Any event I go to, I tend to wear my brand, and I get a nice response. So it's honestly all about marketing and motivation. So that's one of the best things you can do for yourself as a designer or a creative. Like, really push yourself, use yourself essentially as your billboard. Or if you don't want to use yourself, like if you have a friend, like try to get everyone involved, like try to get them to wear your stuff, or just push for you.
Of course, this all took place in Havana. You got to spend 9 days. A lot of people are talking about what Cuba will be to the world once the sanctions are behind them and the place truly opens up. They're going to consider it to be pretty much something of the Riviera of the region. What was your personal experience like in experiencing 9 days in Cuba?
Oh, it was lovely. Cuba is honestly a very beautiful country. It's culturally rich. Everyone there that we met was just so Cuban, and they're proud of it. And they display their culture in every aspect of everything, everyday life for them. We attended one of the art schools as well, and just to see what they're doing with the sanctions alone, still having all of these restrictions placed on them and still being able to produce the caliber of work that they're doing, it was honestly very inspirational. But it will definitely be a force to reckon with as time goes on.
All right, so I have a phrase to mention to you, and you have to say what comes to mind. Black flamingo.
Taking the world by storm.
All right, wonderful stuff. Now you're heading off to somewhere else, Slovenia,
yes,
to continue this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about that.
So I will be having a 2-month residency program at Center Rog in Slovenia. We will be having workshops. We'll have mandatory workshops. This is all under the umbrella of UNESCO. And while we are there, because it will be 4 of us, it will be the 2 grand prize winners, People's Choice and our honorable mention. So the 4 of us will be going. And there'll be 9 studios. Me personally, I know for a fact that I will be taking up a glass course. I really want to get into glass blowing. So it'll be completely up to us to decide the body of work that we would like to produce. And at the end of those 2 months and after the whole course, we will be a part of a display as well. And from that, we can also have the opportunity to showcase in Slovenia again in November. So my fingers are crossed for that as well. So I'm going with that as my motivation so I can make that showcase for November.
I look forward to you sharing with us all that's happening.
Thank
so
you.
as we say in Bajan parlance, don't be a stranger.
Of course not.
Make sure that you check in and let us know what's happening. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
You are absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
And the outfit complements you perfectly. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
And I look forward to hearing how you will be able to bring all of this knowledge and expertise that you gain in traveling the world back to this region.
Thank you.
Yeah? Any advice for young designers who might be a little reluctant to take on their dreams?
Just go for it. And don't be afraid or ashamed. Take breaks. A lot of us don't take breaks, or we feel ashamed in taking a break. I sometimes took 2-year hiatuses, like you get stuck in your mind and I'm like, I need to reset. Don't be afraid to just take a little step back and rework your brand, rework anything you have going on. We really need to, there's no shame in it, like take a break. I find a lot of us get burnt out in the creative space because we're just going and going and going, and there's nothing wrong with going and going and going, but sometimes going and going is not a good going and going. So you need to know when to like take a step back, tweak a bit and come back. And I honestly encourage it, like take a break. You don't need to take a year, like take a little 6-month hiatus, something,
take a
and
breath
go again.
Is what she's saying.
Take a nice breath and you'll be better for it.
That's wonderful advice. Ria Cummins Jordan is a fashion designer. She's winner of Transcultural 24. She's the award-winning designer, and she's lead designer and owner of Black Flamingo and Grapefruit Island. So look out for those brands. Of course, doing predominantly resort wear. But we look forward to hearing from her about her exploits in future. Do stay with us. More on Morning Barbados when we come back.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, so we just have a few minutes left to be able to share with you. We want to remind you of the CBC Mini-Me contest. It is on now. You only have until Thursday to get those entries in. So submit your photos today. The photos with the most likes will win. So make sure that you get on in with that. All you have to do is submit that photo with a dad and his son or daughter who looks just like him. And dad gets a chance to win the grand prize of a staycation at Sambe Hotel, gift vouchers, compliments, world-class cuts, and a photo shoot compliments 8216 Logistics. Entries close on Thursday, June 6th. That's tomorrow, people. Hurry up and get those entries in. You're submitting via email to marketing@cbc.bb or on WhatsApp to 467-5465. Now, the 98.1 The One Barbados Lottery White Oak Rum Soca Stop pop-up party is coming up. And it's at, get the name of this place, Sipan Lake Beach Bar in Six Men, St. Peter. That's the next location. So make sure you come on out. Not to follow any instruction, but most certainly to go to the party and have a good time with the 98.1 FM crew. Versatile will be there, DJ, Mad Vibes, and Champion Crown. Those are, of course, 98.1 FM names. So they're going to be bringing all the vibes to those parties. So come on out and celebrate with us. It's Friday night, all right? 9 o'clock is when it starts. And anybody who's been to the other ones know how exciting a time we have. Also on Saturday, first and last bar, Upper Carlton, St. James, is where we're having the next stop for the South Rum and Soca Tour. That's June 8th, 10 o'clock in the morning. The Hyperdrive team will be there. And of course, we are going to be sharing with you then. So coming up tomorrow on Morning Barbados, the next chapter, Marsha Aline of the BTMI is going to be in to talk to us about the Tourism Youth Congress competition. And there's going to be a whole lot more for the Thursday installment. So have a great day today and make sure you come on back tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.